Hello, YouTube. This is a response to my girl Scented Nectar. Scented Nectar, I don't know why, but I'm not getting your videos in my sub box, and you've been making videos. I've missed them. She made a really good video a couple weeks back, I think. How long ago was this? Yeah, April 29th, called Radfem Manginas. And she's basically, kind of speculating on why some men like to hang around or even consider themselves radfems when a lot of the radfem rhetoric is blatantly hateful to them. And she gives some good ideas about it, while not naming any names, of course. And so I thought I'd throw my 2 cents in because this is something I've thought about for a little while. She gives more reasons, but I think there's two that maybe she didn't touch on as much that I think should be discussed. And one, I think I've noticed there's a particular kind of guy that hangs out with radfems that is blatantly a misogynistic pig. Like if a woman is sort of marked as okay by his radfem friends as less, it's okay for him to sort of unleash his misogynistic tendencies on her. And so I think it's a way of men associating with women so that those women can tell them who it's okay to be a misogynist to, and they can do it and still feel like they're still being respectful to women. So they're sort of the type that are looking for the feminist seal of approval for who they can unleash those tendencies on. And I think also that, it would seem odd that radical feminists would want to keep guys like that around. But then again, there's an element of it that is sort of like we keep you around because you remind us what pigs men are, and you're standable. You're someone we can put up with. And keeping a guy like that around that sort of, kisses their ass a bit, but they're blatant, they're a pig. It sort of seems to, that guy seems to be like a representative or someone who sort of validates all of their negative opinions of men. So they're like the misogynist mascot, Also, and I have actually heard certain radical feminists say things to this to this respect before, but it used to be Madonna whore dichotomy, whereas now it seems to be radical feminist whore dichotomy. And so it's so funny to me because they've really just taken the Madonna role, or the acceptable, pure, cleaner woman role, and rebranded it and claimed it because they have so much contempt for women they see as whores. And so I could see where a guy would want to hang out with a woman like that because it's just the same dynamic. It's just a guy throwing himself into the same sort of dynamic. And we've sort of seen this a little bit here on YouTube, where someone is sort of catering to a very staunch, kind of more man-hatey feminist. But then behind her back, he's, hanging out with a woman that would be considered in the whore role. And then when he's busted, the more man-hating, feminist type, rather than going at him and holding him accountable like I think any real feminist would, she really falls into that old harem mold of hating the woman. And it's so funny, as much as people try and say that women like me are not feminists, I have never, the few times that I've ever been cheated on, I have never taken it out on the woman. I always take it out on the man because he's the one who owes me that loyalty. He's the one who's my partner. He's the one who owes me, not her. Especially when I find out, if I were to find out that he were playing us both for fools, I would be like, girl, you and me need to get together and confront him together because he's been playing us both, and we're women. We need to stand strong and not let this man play those old roles, play the Madonna against the whore. We need to not let them do that to us. But that doesn't seem to be the case, and so I can see where a guy would want to hang out with a woman like that so that if it came down to it, he could play her against another woman. Really. Which is something we've seen take place. And it's also an ego boost because when you see women fighting because of you, when a guy sees women fighting because of them, it's a real big ego stroker. Even if one of the women claims to be a feminist, she's still stroking his ego. She's still going at it with the other girl or mad at the other girl instead of mad at him like should be. And so, yeah, I can see why a guy would want to be around like that. It's a very empowered place to be, to know that if you have to, you can play the Madonna against the whore, or you can play the Radfem against the slut. It's a very powerful place to be. And it's so funny that these real staunch man-hating feminist types claim to be so feminist. But when they play out that role, they're really just competing for a higher rank within a patriarchal structure. It's so, I find it comical that anyone who would do that can call themselves a feminist. I find it comical. They're just replacing the old wifey, good person, good woman role with feminist and thinking that's winning, and it's not winning. So, yeah, those are my two ideas about why a man would want to consider himself a radical feminist, or like strongly associate with him. One would be the guy who knows he's a pig, and they kind of keep him around to sort of remind him what pigs men are, but they can kind of stand him. And being around them, they tell him who he can target for his misogynist behavior. And so he feels like he's still kind of being a good guy by getting their blessing. And two, it's just a new form of Madonna whore complex. It's a very powerful place for a man to be, to put himself in the middle of that. And so those are my ideas. Thanks, Enton. Oh, I'm not going to do it now because it's dark. But I have some questions about my plants. Yeah. And from what I understand, you're real good with plants and stuff. I don't even know the names of some of my plants. And there's one that's not doing so good. So, yeah, don't be surprised if you get a video from me in the next couple of days being like, Doctor, what's wrong with this plant? So, good night.